Hey guys, welcome back. And in today's video, I am doing my first NFL mock draft. We are about a quarter of the way through the NFL season so far. This is the order if the draft was today. Starting in week 10, I will be doing these every week. So these will come up on Saturdays, college football Saturdays, along with the other regularly scheduled videos, power rankings, game balls, game picks and videos like that. So if you guys are into these sorts of things, make sure you guys hit the like and subscribe button. Really helps me out. Let's go ahead and get into it with the Houston Texans, who are the first team on the clock. They're the only team so far that does not have a win. And I think that a big part of that, you could really trace it back to a lot of things. I think the run defense has been horrible, which is why I think Will Anderson could definitely be in play here. But I like Davis Mills a lot, but I don't think he's the answer. And I think this is going to surprise some people because I think CJ Stroud is the number one quarterback prospect on a lot of people's boards. But I think Bryce Young is going to be the first quarterback off the board. I think he has impressed me a little bit more so far this season. He's also got the Heisman from last year. Not that Stroud has been bad, he's been fantastic, but I think Bryce Young, there's something about him. I think he's going to go first in the draft. As of today, that could definitely change. The next pick is the Carolina Panthers, who have been really bad. Bad play calling, bad things like that, but I think a lot of that falls onto their quarterback's hands, and that's why I'm taking CJ Stroud to the Panthers here. I think it's a really good fit. I think he's got a couple of good weapons already in McCaffrey, and then he's also got DJ Moore, guys like that. I think this would make a ton of sense for them. And I think the top two picks are going to be Stroud and Young. You can switch that order up any way you want, but I've got Young as my first quarterback off the board. For the Raiders, I think they've got to go pass rusher here, and you probably get the best pass rusher, college pass rusher I've ever seen in my life, in Will Anderson. The dude is an absolute freak. He's in the backfield on almost every play, and I think pairing him next to Max Crosby could be lethal. I've got him going at number 3 to the Raiders. At number 4, we've got the Philadelphia Eagles, a team that is, this pick is from the Saints. They have their own pick at number 31 because they're the only team that doesn't have a loss. Very interesting. They could go a number of different directions. I think Kaylee Ringo could be in play here. They're still missing some pieces on their secondary. I think Ringo could be in play here. Jalen Carter could also be in play. Yeah, this one's a little bit tough. I am going to go with Jalen Carter, though. I think he is the best player on the board. Pairing Jalen Carter and Jordan Davis, two absolute freaks in the middle of that defensive line, would be so scary for teams to have to go up against. College teammates, I think Jalen Carter is better than Jordan Davis was at college. I'm really intrigued by Jalen Carter. My favorite prospect in this draft outside of Will Anderson. I think Jalen Carter is going to be fantastic and would fit that Eagles defense very nicely. The Pittsburgh Steelers, interesting team, but we all kind of know where they need to go. They've got to go offensive line, and there's really only one offensive lineman here worth taking, and that's Peter Skoronski out of Northwestern. I think he's a really good player. I think some teams might view him as a guard. I think he's going to slide in, be your starting tackle right away, and start building a better offensive line for Kenny Pickett because we've seen it time and time again, you can't throw a young quarterback into the fire with no offensive line. Kenny Pickett's got to have a line. I think Skoronski's the pick here. No brainer. For the Patriots at number 6, they need skill positions. This is an easy pick for me. I'm taking Jackson Smith-Njigba, the best receiver in this draft, one of the best receivers I've seen in a long time. Think he fits their scheme really well. Think he would work well with Mac Jones. This is a no-brainer pick. I didn't really have to think about this one too hard. For the Washington Commanders, this is another easy pick. I'm going Kaylee Ringo here. They need secondary help really badly. Kaylee Ringo comes in and would play really well next to Kendall Fuller, I think. Ringo is far and away the best corner prospect in this draft. I think he's got a lot of potential and is going to be a top 10 pick. The Lions, they need defense, and they need defense bad. Um, this one's going to be a little bit off the board here. Um, I'm debating on who to go there. I'm between two guys here. Um, I think I'm going to go with Andre Carter here to the Detroit Lions. I feel like he's a guy that would work really well alongside Aiden Hutchinson. Big, I believe he's 6'8". He's huge. I think would fit what Dan Campbell wants to do. And he's coming from a respectable school. Not that any of these schools are not respectable, but I don't know. I get the feeling Andre Carter might slide into the top 10 here. I've got him at 8 to the Detroit Lions. At number 9, we have my Indianapolis Colts. Now, there's a couple of ways they could go with this. They could take quarterback. They could go Will Levis here. He's my favorite quarterback prospect in this draft outside of the top 2. I think he's got a ton of potential. Or they could go wide receiver, a position they desperately need. And I think Jordan Addison, you could make the case as the number 1 receiver in the country. And I'm going to take Addison here. You saw what happened the last time they took a USC receiver. Michael Pittman Jr. is a stud. I think Jordan Addison is going to be an awesome addition to this receiver group that receiving core that needs help. So I'm taking Addison at 9. At number 10, we've got the Atlanta Falcons. Interesting team here. 2-2, but I'm still not super impressed by anything they've done. I think defense has to be the pick here. And I'm going to go with the best defensive players still on the board in Myles Murphy. Great edge rusher from Clemson. Pairing him alongside Grady Jarrett would be a really good pairing. So that rounds out the top 10 here. Let's move on to the Houston Texans, who need run stoppers. They have not been able to stop the run. You took Bryce Young with the number 1 overall pick. Now with your number 2, your number 11 overall pick here. Like I said, I think run stoppers are in play here. Trying to see. I think Javon Dexter could be a really good pick, but I think this is a little high for him. Same with Noah Sewell. Think he would fit really well on this team. A little too high for them. Give me Brian Breesy, a big tackle you can put in the middle of this defensive line, and I think would make a huge impact for them right away. I think this is a no-brainer pick for me. I'm going Breesy at 11 to the Texans. The Seahawks have 2 picks here back-to-back, the first from the Broncos and then their own pick. So where do they go with this? I still think they could improve that offensive line. I think it's still not great. I think quarterback is definitely in play here. There's a couple of different ways they could go here. This is tough. I think corner is still a big need. Their secondary hasn't looked very good, so I am going to take a corner here. And I like Eli Ricks here to the Seattle Seahawks. Think he could be a CB1 for them. Think he is the second best corner in this class, right behind Kaylee Ringo. Think this makes a lot of sense. And then I am going to take Will Levis here at number 13. Levis has got a cannon of an arm, but he's still really raw. Reminds me a little bit of Josh Allen when he was coming out, a guy that had a lot of potential. We didn't really know what he could turn into, but I think Will Levis could be that guy. Geno is not your answer long term. Give me Will Levis to the Seahawks at 13. At number 14, we've got the LA Chargers, a team that I think could still improve this defense a little bit. I think Kayshon Boutte's in play here though, especially with the injuries to Keenan Allen. He's getting up there in age. I think you could also go offensive line, especially now with Rashawn Slater being out. I think Broderick Jones or Paris Johnson are in play. Very good options. Siaki Aka is another good player that could really help this run defense, but I am going to go with Kayshon Boutte. I think this is the pick that would be the most interesting. A guy that you could pair. He could be a wide receiver 2 to Mike Williams, or he could end up taking that wide receiver 1 spot. He's a guy that's got a ton of potential, but doesn't really have a great quarterback throwing him the ball right now at LSU. Think I'm going to go Boutte here. And then the Cardinals, they've got to go offensive line, so this is a pretty easy pick for me. Give me Broderick Jones. Their offensive line hasn't been very good, and I think you've got to definitely improve upon that. And then the Lions get the Rams pick here at 16. We have them take Andre Carter at 8. And then at 16, you got to go defense again. And I think secondaries in play here. Give me Garrett Williams out of Syracuse. Last time they drafted a corner in the first round was Jeff Okudah, and he really hasn't panned out. Garrett Williams, I think, is a lot different. I think he's got good ball skills, and he's going to end up being a first-round pick for sure. Love what he would be able to bring to this Lions defense. Then we've got the New York Jets that I think offensive line, again, is in play here. So I'm going to go with Paris Johnson, especially with the question marks around Mekhi Becton. They got Max Mitchell, who's really solid, but I think you've got to improve this offensive line. So I'm going to go Paris Johnson here to the Jets. And then this leaves the Bears in a weird spot because I think they definitely want one of the top receivers in this draft, but they're off the board. Even though I like Josh Downs and Quentin Johnston, I don't think they are going to get selected this high. And then I think the defense is solid. I think you could probably improve the inside a little bit more. And then they want offensive line as well. Let's kind of look at the prospects here. There is Cooper Beebe, Andrew Voorhees. Neither are guys I think that are going to go this high. So I'm going to go with the guy that I think has a super high ceiling to really help this edge. That's Felix Anudike-Uzomah. He's one of my favorite players in this draft, a name that is just so intriguing to me. I think he could end up being really solid in this league. I'm going to take him here at number 18. I think he's the best option on the board for the Bears. This would definitely be a spot that they would trade up. They will not have the 18th overall pick, though. I can guarantee you that. This offense is really bad. They've got to get some receivers in there. So Johnson could be in play here. But for the Ravens here, they drafted safety in Kyle Hamilton last year, so I don't think Antonio Johnson is in play here. But I am going to go with a corner, one of my favorite prospects in this draft. Give me Cam Smith. Think he would fit really well. This secondary has not been good. They're constantly decimated with injury. I think that it makes a lot of sense for you to go out, draft a corner in the first round. Cam Smith was the number 2 corner to J.C. Horn a couple years ago. He's got a lot of great attributes that I think would really entice a lot of NFL teams. So he's going to be my pick there. At number 22, the Miami Dolphins. Nolan Smith is in play here. I really like him. I like Gervon Dexter as well, but Nolan Smith's a name I can't pass up on. Just another freak on that Georgia defensive line that is going to go high in this draft. Really like what he could be able to bring with his size. And they really don't have a true number 1 edge rusher. I know Melvin Ingram has been fantastic this year, but, he is going to be out of the lineup next year unless they re-sign him. So taking Nolan Smith, I think, makes a lot of sense. For the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, there's a number of different directions they could go here. I think linebackers probably where I'm going to go with them, or offensive line. Yeah, I think I'm going to go offensive line. Take Cooper Beebe. Their offensive line has struggled this year. They're really missing Alex Kappa. I think that's a big loss for them. I think you take an offensive line high here in the first round. Give me Cooper Beebe. And then the Bengals, I think it's Michael Mayer here. I think he's the best tight end prospect in this draft, far and away. And I think he's the guy you have to take here. I think he would fit so nicely next to Chase and Higgins. And he's a guy that fits a need because I don't think they've got like a revolving door of tight ends. You had Uzomah, and now you've got Hurst. I think drafting a guy in the first round, Michael Mayer, makes a ton of sense there. At number 23, we've got the Tennessee Titans. Great defense, but I think their offense could still use a little bit of help. I want to take a receiver here. I think I'm going to go a little off the board here. I think Josh Downs is definitely in play, but I feel like that's a little too far out there. I think defensive line, I like Gervon Dexter as well. I like the linebackers on the board. Both of them I think are really solid. Offensive line as well, think that's probably a spot you could go. But there's not really an offensive lineman that intrigues me. So yeah, I'm going to go with, give me Gervon Dexter. I think he's the best interior defensive lineman still on the board here. And I think he's going to be a good pass rusher and run defender for you. on a really solid defensive line, just not a receiver worth taking. I don't think Johnston's worth the first, and I don't think Josh Downs is worth the first. So, um, for the New York Giants, a team that I think could definitely use some help on the defensive side of the ball. Well, their defense has been solid. They could use playmakers similar to the Titans. Don't think there's a guy on the board worth taking here, but there is a linebacker. I think I like Noah Sewell to the Giants quite a bit. They really don't have a great linebacking core right now. You've got who is it? It's not Quay Walker, is it? I think it is. You don't have a great defensive linebacker duo. Noah Sewell, I think, is the best linebacker in this draft. I think he makes a lot of sense for them to take here at 24. Antonio Johnson's the pick for the Jags. They really don't have a great safety. Andre Cisco has been their starter, and he's solid, but don't think he is the guy that's going to get you to the promised land. And I really think he could be a nice piece for them. So I'm going to take Antonio Johnson here. For the Bills, I actually am going to go with Jordan Battle. I saw him down here. Yeah, I know it's a little off the board, but, I think that I'm not taking Jordan Battle. I take it back. Brandon Joseph's in play. I think they could definitely look at safety, especially with the Micah Hyde and Jordan Poyer constantly being in and out of the lineups. I think you've got good linebackers. I think you could go edge here potentially. Is there an edge rusher that I think you could take? Let's see. Yeah, not really a great edge rusher. I like Isaiah Foskey. That's who we'll take here. We'll take Isaiah Foskey. Think you can never have too many edge rushers. This is a team that rotates edges in and out. Still think the secondary could use some help. Corners, not great at this point. I like Clark Phillips. I think he's going to be a good player. Brian Branch, don't think is a first rounder. For the Cowboys, a great defense. Their offense is starting to get it together again as well. And I think you kind of improve the interior of that defensive line. Take Siaki Ika. I think I said that right. I probably didn't. But you've got to take a big run-stopping guy. Reminds me of Vita Vea. I don't think he's going to be as good, but just a huge guy that you could put in the middle of that defensive line. I think that's the pick there for the Cowboys. At number 28, we've got the Green Bay Packers. Another team I could see going linebacker, but I know I said these guys weren't worth a first for the Giants or Texans, but for the Packers, they are worth a first. I'm taking Quentin Johnston here. You need a receiver so desperately. Romeo Doubs has been good. Christian Watson has been solid. You still need another receiver. They're not going to take him, but I'm the GM here. I'm taking Quentin Johnston. For the Kansas City Chiefs, another team I think could go linebacker here. I'm going to take Trenton Simpson. They have Nick Bolton, who I like, but I think you can add another linebacker or two to this team, and it makes sense. Give me Trenton Simpson to the Chiefs. Number 30, we have the Minnesota Vikings. I think they have to go secondary here. And I'm going to go Brian Branch. You need corners so badly. Unfortunately, Lewis Cine is down. The secondary hasn't looked very good, but I am going to go with Brian Branch here. And then my last pick of the first round is Bijan Robinson. The Eagles love to run the ball. We know this. And he's the best running back in this draft. Gives me Derrick Henry or Joe Mixon type vibes. I think he's going to be a really, really good player for a long time. And so let me know, guys. What do you think of this? This is my first mock draft. Obviously, they're going to get better as the year progresses, but would love to hear your guys' thoughts. But that's going to do it for me in this video, guys. Make sure you guys hit the like button, subscribe if you are new, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Adios.